The lady wishes to know why might it be that Dr. Benjamin Franklin, who is now quite near the age of 70 years, why he is held in some rather ill favor by a number of gentlemen of this period. Allow me to speculate into the not-too-distant future, for I have never met the man. I am given to understand that he was here in Williamsburg in the past, though it was in the late 1750s, before I had first come upon the public scene. The purpose of his visit at that time was to help to establish the post office here upon the main street. He showed a natural genius for that sort of administration, and a great many other many contributions to this enlightened age of this 18th century. His numerous inventions, his vast publications, his recent discoveries into the electrical fluids, I find most illuminating. And so for those reasons, Dr. Franklin is held in rather high regard by all, with perhaps one difference of opinion that it is rumored that he holds, not shared by certainly someone so orthodox a Christian as I am. There are those who believe that Dr. Franklin, just based upon some of the things that he has said or done or written in past, that he has fallen in with that rank of society which many know as deists. For those who are unacquainted with this particular philosophy, or religion, if you will, and to me, I believe deism to be but another word for vice and depravity. But Orthodox Christians, such as myself, in this year of 1774, believe that God controls all things. A leaf falls from that tree. God did it. It is not for me to understand his purpose, simply to accept that the hand of God is directly controlling of all things that happen in the heavens and the earth. The deists, however, some will say they worship reason. You might look at it as a philosophy of the clockmaker. That is, they acknowledge that God exists and that he established the heavens and the earth. But like a man would make a clock, he wound it up, set it down, and simply lets forces within nature control other things. There are many who believe that Dr. Franklin has subscribed to that particular philosophy, perhaps based upon the fact that he has spent so much time in the past 16 years with the godless French. Please know that Dr. Franklin has not been here in America for that many years. He is serving as the emissary of Massachusetts Bay and Pennsylvania to the Court of St. James, spending a great deal of time in England as well as in France and abroad. I've never met him yet, but looking to the not-too-distant future, Dr. Franklin right now is of the view that we can and we should attempt a peaceable reconciliation. He has already begun applying for a private audience with the Privy Council, the king's closest advisors. His hope being that he might reasonably state the case of America and bring about a happy settlement. And he believes, too, that since he is held in high regard by London society because of his contributions to this enlightened age, even though he is native-born to America, for the rest of us, you see, who are born here are inferior. But Dr. Franklin believes that he might be able to bring about a peaceful solution. He finally gets that interview later this year in 1774, and he's hardly allowed to speak a word. Instead, he is soundly and roundly insulted and humiliated for more than an hour's time, principally at the hands of one Lord Wedderburn, who is going to stoop so low in his haranguing of the old Franklin as to comment upon the nature of Dr. Franklin's clothing, saying something to this effect: "What, gentlemen, what has this filthy American provincial to do before this noble and august body? Look at the nature of his tattered old worn coat. He has no business being here. I'll not listen to him, nor should you be wise." That's when Dr. Franklin already begins to come to the understanding that I have already, that this notion of returning as dutiful subjects to the king is absurd. He then will return to Philadelphia And I'll finally meet him next year in May of 1775 at the second session of the Grand Congress. We'll have little to do one with another, serving upon different committees for one thing, but again, I cannot express to you too often or too strongly at how opposite in character we are one from another. Me, for example, owing to my devout Christian faith, most abstemious as to spirituous drink and other earthly pursuits, he quite fond of all of those earthly pleasures. Quite the randy one. You take my meaning. But I will say this, I will always treasure his very keen and savage wit. To give you perhaps the most excellent example of Dr. Franklin truly being imbued with that fiery American spirit. And here I look even further to the future. After a very long, bloody, and costly war with our mother country and finally achieving our independence in this war of independence, Dr. Franklin will be among that group of men who will be representing these new United States at the Treaty of Paris in 1783. And he will learn in advance that Lord Wedderburn will be there representing Great Britain, he who had humiliated Franklin some years before. Dr. Franklin will make a very great point of wearing the same coat to their first meeting.